Alright, so I was not planning on making a video today since I basically double uploaded with the whole, LTG video and my review of Invincible versus, which seems pretty topical now given this video. But yeah, I saw this, I first saw it on TikTok, and the TikTok made me feel like in such a way that I just needed to talk about this. So yeah, let's just get into the video.
I didn't have high hopes for this game.
Alright, starting off, that's not a ridiculous thing to say. If I'm being honest, I felt the exact same way when the game was first being shown. But come on, Demigah, show me exactly why you feel this way.
Because of the way the game both looked and played.
Okay, that's understandable. Again, those are the main reasons why I also felt a bit unsure about the game when it was first being shown. But come on, Demigah, go into a bit more detail. What exactly does this game have that you don't like?
The tutorial to this game took me over 23 minutes to complete.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you, that's pretty fucking bad. But benefit of the doubt. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he's just a casual. Maybe this is his first fighting game, and we all have trouble learning our first fighting game.
They don't even tell you what button to press to complete the tasks they set out for you.
Okay, this is starting to get weird. I don't know if Mr. Demigah is blind, maybe, but I see it very clearly in this video right there. It says special, right? Special button. I don't know. Let's again give it benefit of the doubt. Let's assume he just doesn't understand. Maybe he just needs to look over the controller mapping once again.
The only reason that I even knew what to press when they asked me to perform a light, medium, and heavy attack is because of muscle memory from other, better fighting games.
Now this was the part where it started getting weird. Other, better fighting games. So you have played other fighting games. You do know how controller schemes work. But okay, again, benefit of the doubt. Maybe he just hasn't played tag fighters. Maybe he just doesn't have experience with these types of controller schemes.
Let me flex my fighting game credentials real quick. I then played a little bit of Street Fighter.
This was the particular moment where I started getting an itch in my neck. A particular feeling. But I still wasn't convinced. Because if you listen to him, he says a little bit of Street Fighter. So that's when I was like, and maybe it was a little bit. Again, it was probably his early years. He doesn't even remember how it was. So let's just give him the benefit of the doubt.
Dip my toes in it so I know ball. I get a little older. I play Injustice Gods Among Us. For my 12th birthday, I mained Green Lantern for 2 years before I ever switched characters.
Injustice 1, huh? I mean, I played it myself when I was younger. Honestly, not a great contender as a game to say, oh, I know ball. But, again, benefit of the doubt. Maybe he has better games under his belt. Let's see.
And a little bit of Killer Instinct.
Huh, that is another 6-button fighting game.
Mortal Kombat X was my main thing. But Injustice 2 was my wife and baby mama.
This was the moment when it all clicked. This is when everything made sense. Injustice 2 as your quoted wife and baby mama. So your big main game. That's when it all just made sense. You just don't even know how to play anything that isn't an NRS game. For those of you not in the know, let me introduce you to the highest level of gameplay in Injustice 2. Thrilling, right? This game, and to be fair, the first one too, the first Injustice was broken to all hell. Superman was Satan himself. My point being, it is pretty clear that Demigah's roster of fighting games is mainly comprised of easy games, NetherRealm games, games that don't take a lot of time to learn because they are geared for a casual audience. Normally, I wouldn't have an issue with that. There's nothing wrong with not knowing how to play fighting games. There's a lot of people who don't and just don't care to. The issue comes when you try to put yourself in this position of Yeah, I'm a vet. I know what's good and I know what's bad, and I can tell you this is dog shit. When you yourself have only seriously played fighting games that are 4-button fighting games, aka NetherRealm games, which are known by anybody who has even an iota of experience within the FGC community as the easiest goddamn fighting games there is.
I got fighting games in my blood!
Yeah, I'm sorry, but you don't get to say that. Not after this whole spiel of how we're gonna get to it, but I want to make it clear. During this whole 10-minute video, 80% of his critique is difficulty on Invincible Versus, one of the easiest fighting games to have come out in years, mainly due to the controls when it's a 9-button fighting game.
So when I tell you that Invincible Versus is the worst one I've ever played due to difficulty alone,
look, I'm not the type to make fun of people because that's just not in my blood. But shut the fuck up. I'm sorry, man, but you're telling me difficulty on a fighting game with auto combos and a simple control scheme? Please.
this game is set up for the casual gamer to fail.
Oh, I can't wait to hear how the fuck you explain this.
They have so many inputs, so many controls for everything. They had about 5 different ways to block and break a combo, some of which wouldn't even trigger when pressing the correct button inputs that they displayed on the screen.
Alright, let's go step by step because this is fucking ridiculous. First off, it is a 9-button fighting game. And saying 9 is crazy because if we're going by the definition, it's only 4. Light, medium, heavy, special. That is it. Now, I checked the comments and he himself has said he hasn't played fighters in a pretty rude way, by the way, which is kind of crazy to me, but that's besides the point. The buttons are not an issue. According to you, you played Street Fighter and you dip your toes, so you know ball. Street Fighter 4 specifically, which is the image he showed, by the way, is a 6-button fighting game. 6 buttons. Not just that, also KI is a 6-button fighting game. Infinitely more complex than anything in Invincible Versus. Just for reference, let me show you what combo trials look in Street Fighter 4. Oh, would you look at that? It literally just tells me to do a jet upper. No buttons? It doesn't say shit. Now, obviously, I know how to do a jet upper because I play fighting games. You know, I am an actual fighting game player. If I didn't know, how would I be able to see? Well, this is what you do. You open the menu, you go to command list, you go to your character, and then you see, oh, DP and punch. What is punch? I don't know buttons. Where can I see the actual button I need to press? So you back out, you go to button configuration, and there you see what punches are. That is how Street Fighter does it. The supposed game you know ball in.
I had to keep pausing the game to go to the controller settings to figure out what the fuck the game wanted me to press.
My brother in Christ. It takes you literally 2 seconds to pull up the controller mapping. And even then, what do you mean you have to do it multiple times? Do you have object permanence? Do you forget what you just saw 2 seconds after you saw it? Please, man. Do you have any idea how bad this makes you look? Mr. I have fighting games in my blood and can't even remember 3 buttons? The reason these notations exist in the first place is so there can be homogeny when you explain these combos to other people, because in these modern fighting games you can map whatever button to whatever you want. So I don't want to excuse this. Obviously, I do think it should be an option that you can actually see your buttons, but it is a beta. I guarantee you it will be there at launch, and even then, it takes 2 seconds! Just look what button is which! And if you keep forgetting, I'm sorry, man, you're just fucking stupid!
The game could have benefited from minimalizing a lot of these inputs to a single button, if not 2 buttons.
You can literally do special moves by just pressing 1 button. And the other special moves are just the button and the direction. Are you fucking stupid? the hardest, and the hardest is in big quotes, hardest input is a level 3 super, and it is just holding a trigger and then pressing 2 buttons at the same time. You cannot make this shit up.
I don't think the devs quite understand. When you make a game this difficult to learn and comprehend, especially given the Invincible IP to base your work on, you alienate an entire portion of your audience who originally wanted to buy the game.
Now, this is actually a decently good point he makes, and it's actually something I sort of said in my original review for the Invincible versus beta. Too bad it's based on the fact that you just fucking suck. Nobody is having that much trouble with these simple mechanics except you and people who don't play. Except you're just making such a big deal about it, and you're making it the game's problem instead of the fact that you forget what button is which 2 seconds after reading it.
Once I ran into a sweat, it was over with. Because for the life of me, I could not remember how to break a combo.
This whole video can be summarized with just this tiny clip. Fuck you mean you could not remember how to break a combo? Okay, that's normal. You know, it happens to the best of us. But why is that the fault of the game? That you have Alzheimer's disease? That you just forgot? How is that the fault of the game? Again, are we stupid?
Invincible Versus tells you to do this. And when I did it online, spammed it and such, it didn't want to work.
This part of the video had me tweaking when I first saw it. Because he says, I was pressing it, spammed it, and such. When the game makes a huge point to make, it wants you to know this, the mechanic, the counterattack mechanic is timing based. You have to time it to get it right. If you spam it, you get that little counter fail icon, and you miss it because you were spamming it like a fucking scrub. Again, are our brains shrinking? Are we just stupid?
I've seen many people complain that people keep rage quitting their games. Well, don't overcomplicate it. It's because most people can't even have fun on this game.
Well, here's a crazy take. Maybe don't fucking play the game. So you're telling me that just because you don't know how to play and you didn't want to learn, I can't have fun? I can't play the game that I paid for because you suck ass? That's how you excuse it? Ridiculous.
People who played it are Invincible fans, not fighting game fans. This was their introduction to this genre, and y'all overcomplicated the F out of it.
It is a 4-button fighting game. You know what else? You know what other fighting game has almost the exact same controller scheme? Dragon Ball FighterZ. You know how big that fucking game was? You know how many people were playing the shit out of that game and not complaining, not crying like little bitches that it's the game's fault that they can't do a 4-hit combo and that they forgot how to do shit? You just suck. And you have to accept that. People just don't want to accept that they're not good at certain things. They don't want to accept that they will lose sometimes. And they make videos like this.
It scared me away. And I'm a vet to the genre.
No, the fuck you're not. You cannot. It is impossible. I think everybody can agree with me on this. If a 4-button fighting game scares you away, you are not a veteran to the genre. Not just a 4-button fighting game, because you know what game is a 4-button fighting game? Marvel vs. Capcom. And also, again, Dragon Ball FighterZ. But you know what those games have? Motion inputs. Those games don't have what Invincible has, which is single button specials. It is insane to me that this man, Demigah, is talking this way when he is scared by a simple fighting game with auto combos, simple specials, and simple supers. You should be embarrassed to call yourself a vet when you clearly have no real fighting game experience outside of the commonly known easiest fighting games of all time.
You gotta remember the combos for not just 1, but 3 characters.
That is why tag fighters have always had light, medium, heavy button schemes, so it can be simplified. so you can have semi-universal combos across all characters. So it's not so hard, you fucking buffoon. That is how they work. That is why the buttons are the way they are. So making combos between 3 characters isn't so daunting if you would use your brain for just 5 seconds. Look, I think I've said enough about this video. I want to make it clear, I don't hate Demigah. Most of this video is just poking fun at what I think is honestly a horrible, abhorrently stupid take. But I don't hate the dude. If I'm being honest, I am a fan of quite a few of his videos. I wouldn't call myself like a huge fan, but I have watched a few of his. I just watched this and honestly, it was just such a horrible, bad take. And honestly, that's not even what pisses me off. It's not the fact that he's a casual or that it's a bad take. It's that it's a bad take and he tries to pass it off as from somebody with knowledge. He tries to be like, hey, casual players, listen to me, the veteran. Like, no, you are another one. You are another casual. You don't know ball. So don't try to influence other people's opinions just because you were getting your ass beat and teabagged in the beta. Just because you couldn't remember you had to press 2 buttons to break a combo. Don't do that. That's not fair. That's not okay. Please grow as a person and try to reevaluate your opinions with more based facts. Again, no hate to you, Demigah, but if this game is scary to you, I guarantee you if you touched Marvel vs. Capcom 3 Dante, you would blow up. Your brain would literally just decay and blow away. But yeah, that's it.